Hi, everybody. Welcome. Um, I don't know if anybody's here yet. We're just
We
now
can still
getting
say
going.
hello.
So, dum. I'm looking for my. I was looking for my banner and I forgot to make it.
Well, we know who we are.
We know who we are and what we're doing. So, there'll be some people along momentarily, but in the meantime, so we were on Cool Crone last night. Had a lot of fun with her 1 year anniversary for the show. And
Big milestone.
yeah, since she developed polyteurology. And so that was a lot of fun. And
That's a
so
clever name, isn't it?
it is. When she
I
first
like
put it
it.
up, I looked at it. I was like, huh? And she says, politics and
Yeah.
terology and tarot. And I went, oh, okay, I get it. Sometimes I'm a little slow. Um, let me see.
Can I ask you something before you start?
Yes, ma'am.
I have my heater on. Can you hear it? Is it annoying?
I
Okay.
don't hear it at all.
Okay.
You ask me
Because
that
otherwise, I'm
every
going to turn into a block of ice here.
time. You ask me that every time. It's like I don't hear anything. I
Oh,
don't.
I try to remember to turn it off. I think when I do my own videos on my channel, uh, something to do with the microphones, it's more noticeable, you know.
That could be. I'll pick up things when I do a solo, just a recording. I'll pick up things that come through, and I'm like, I don't remember hearing that sound when I'm
And you know,
on.
I'm recording this on an iPad, and so far, to my understanding, and I always could be wrong, StreamYard does not allow you to use an external microphone. So I have this good microphone that I finally figured out how to set it up and get it working. But
I
sometimes,
use an external microphone.
pardon me,
I have an external microphone.
are you on an iPad Mini?
No, I'm on the computer.
That's the difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes the microphone for, I guess the iPad disconnects the app for the microphone and I don't realize it. So it's an ongoing battle to get the sound right. It's so difficult.
Oh, Miss Tarot D's here. That's my sweetheart. Hello, my darling. And she's been battling cancer this last year or
Oh,
so.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And but doing better, a little bit at a time.
Well, when you're not feeling well, it really is incredible where we've come that you can have things right at your fingertips to distract you. That is a real positive, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And she's just an absolute sweetie. I love her to death. And
Well, I wish her well.
although I have to catch myself and not call her by her real name. It's usually because we'll get on the phone to a couple times a month and just talk, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
chat. And she's been a big help with helping me kind of formulate some of what's been running in my brain of how I want to do things and
Mm-hmm.
change
Mm-hmm.
things. And she's been a big help with different ideas. And
Yeah.
she was the one fussing at me saying, "You have a niche. Why aren't you using it?" I'm like, "What niche?" And she's like, "The swamp,
I think that's
voodoo,
great. I call
magic."
you
And
my
I'm like, I just never really
no, it's
thought
great.
about it like that. So
I call you my foreign correspondent, and I only partially joking because I don't know I don't know anybody else from Louisiana, and it
that's
is
it.
entirely a subculture, right? I mean,
Oh, oh yeah.
yeah.
And
Excuse me.
let's see, Marina is here, and Gerald is here,
Hi, Marina.
and Michelle is here. Hi, y'all. And oh, she's having a hard day today.
Oh,
Well, if you want to talk later, call me, and we'll just sit and chat if you're up to it. And
oh, you're so nice.
she's just such a sweetie. And then I'm gonna be on Michelle Astrological Tarot. I'm gonna be on her show in 2 weeks. And so I'm looking forward to that. She does the Vedic astrology
You're right, right.
and is really, really
Really
knowledgeable about
interesting. Yeah.
all of that stuff. And she does like the different I think it's Indian like mantras and stuff that
Mm-hmm.
she'll just whip up and it's I love to watch her. She's so
Well,
much
you
fun.
know, in India, the culture itself is it is Vedic astrology is part and parcel of the culture. When a baby is born, you immediately hire them an astrologer. You have a family astrologer, and they
Yeah,
do the baby's chart right away when they know what time, and day it was born, and it's so much inherently a part of the culture and the religion. Um, they must be onto something. They've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years.
yeah, yeah. And I know Hogarth from Hogarth Astrology,
Mhm.
he does the Vedic astrology.
Right, right.
Finally got him on as a guest a couple of weeks back. We've only been trying to do it for like a year.
You
and
know,
just
this
haven't been
this
able to
little
connect.
YouTube community, it's kind of incestuous. You never know who you're gonna see.
Exactly,
It's
and
cool.
he's
It's
in
great.
London, so it was like the
Yeah,
time thing as well. It's like with Jackie, trying to set something up with Jackie because she's in Ireland,
I know.
and so
And
it's
I have
like,
I have a friend in Berlin, and it's a nightmare. Even just trying to
I have
have
a
phone conversation,
yeah, I
because
have a friend in New Zealand, and she was like, "I've never done a Mardi Gras before." She's never been to Mardi Gras, and so I said, "Well, we're gonna have Mardi Gras together this year. We'll just do it online." So I'm gonna be doing a Mardi Gras party for her online.
all the fun and none of the vomit.
That there you go. Don't have to worry about the hangover.
Well,
and
it's optional.
and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to spend some money and get hats and beads." And I said, "Go to Timu. It's a lot cheaper."
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
And of course, I've got stuff I've just collected over the years, and it's like,
Yeah, the beads that you've earned, right, Sherry?
yeah, yeah, beans that you catch, and because you catch those suckers, you better hang on. And it's you get the little cheapy single ones, nothing fancy,
Mhm.
but the fancy ones, those are the ones everybody fights over because they got all kinds of bigger stuff on
Yeah,
them,
yeah, yeah.
and so those are harder to get because they don't throw them out as much. But I don't really go to Mardi Gras anymore. It's like
Oh, no.
I literally live like 2 blocks from where the parade stops,
Yeah.
so I get to hear it. If I wanted to walk down there, I could and watch it. But
See, to me, the notion of Mardi Gras is very unappealing because of the crowds. And I don't like to be around a lot of really inebriated people. But I would love to do tours of all those old buildings. That's what appeals
yeah,
to
New
me.
Orleans has some great stuff over there to
Yeah.
go visit.
Yeah.
When my late husband was still alive, we had to go to the charity hospital once a month to see his doctors, and we had to the parking place for the hospital was like 3 blocks away, and we had to walk by one of the really old Catholic churches, almost like a cathedral,
Yeah. Yeah.
Gothic
Met a
looking
beautiful.
cathedral thing
Yeah.
with a graveyard. It wasn't so bad in the daytime when you walk by, but at night when we would be going back to the car, it was really
Mhm.
creepy to have to walk by that place because it was all dark and
Oh, and those graveyards are really interesting with the above ground crypts and
right, yeah, and they did that
mm,
because if they buried the body, the minute it rains, they pop
the
to the
water
surface.
table is so close to the surface.
Exactly.
You guys are sinking. I hate to tell you,
So
it's
we've
true.
been thinking for a really
A
long time.
long time.
Hi,
Well, look in
Rose.
the
Hi,
levees.
Sandra. But yeah, we get you dig 6 inches, you hit water. So that's why they build people. That's why they bury people in the above ground
Right, right.
crypts. Well, now the
Family
newer
crypts.
graveyards, they have figured out how to get around that. They put the vault in the ground and then put the coffin in there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I love to walk through the old cemeteries sometimes and
Oh
just
yeah.
go read the headstones because there's a whole story on a headstone. They tell you
I'll
how
tell you a
to
funny
do
story
stuff.
about graveyards. I went uh, to see family in Ireland, and my cousin, thinking he was doing something that I would really want to do. They're from a small town originally, and we went back to look at the small town. And he took me to the graveyard to visit the graves of my relatives. And his mother and father are buried there. So my great aunt and great uncle. So he was cleaning off their graves, and he couldn't understand why I was just sort of not knowing what to do with myself. And he says, well, your grandfather's buried down there and so-and-so's buried over there. And my husband, was on the trip. And so we're kind of wandering around, and he was, my cousin was a little annoyed that I wasn't more enthusiastic. But my husband was amused because I'd walk past a grave and I'd read the headstone and I'd go, oh, I know that person. Or that was my mother's best friend when she was 4. Because it's a very small town. People are just a lot closer to their history and their ancestors.
Yeah, I mean, it's like where my late husband's family are all from Mississippi, from Pascagoula, so right on the coastline.
Thank
And
God for Mississippi.
yeah, and they're the ones that rank lower than us. And we used to laugh about that a lot. But I know when his daddy died, he died the same day, the same hour of the day as their mom, 19 years apart. Yeah. So as far as the kids were concerned, Mama came and got Daddy and took him home.
Yeah.
So it's weird because they're buried side by side.
How long have they been married?
Oh wow, they had been married probably 20, 25 years. Because my husband was the baby out of the family, and he was 14, I think, when she died, and because she had a heart condition.
See, I'm asking because I figure if they were a really long established couple and then they die on the same day a few years apart, there's some heavy astrological karmic connection there going on, huh?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, both sets of his grandparents escaped Germany during World War II to escape the Nazis because they're very Catholic, and they were part of the Catholic groups that were helping
the resistance
funnel Jews out of the country, and until they had to escape themselves.
Yeah,
and they wound up, both sets of families wound up kind of going to the same place here in the States. And then the kids got married, and so I come, or not me, but he comes from a straight line of German descent. It's kind of weird because sometimes I'll see something historical in the news, and I'll see a name, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's my last name now," or "Oh, that."
Well, let me tell you something. Kind of a warning. In a good way, not in a bad way. One of my daughters recently, for fun, did her DNA. And I didn't want to know. I know my living relatives. I don't want to know about the dead ones. But she did her DNA, and we were really amused because not only is she's more than 50% Irish, with a lot of a fair smattering of Scandinavian, because the Vikings, right? But my husband, who has always thought he was German, he has a German last name. They know for a fact the family emigrated from Germany, but there were also relatives from England. He had mostly Irish and Viking. We were so amused by that because our assumption was he was very German, and that wasn't true at all. But I was interested in my children's response when they saw their sister's DNA. All of them said exactly the same thing. Oh my God, we're so white.
Well, considering that one branch of my family were slave owners, I figured there's probably some African blood in me somewhere.
Look, the way the human populations migrated and moved, and the history and humanity of enslavement and warfare and the wholesale transport of populations to as slaves because of war. Nobody is any one thing. It's silly to think that you're any one thing. And I was just always under the assumption that we're going to find all sorts of things. And it's interesting, right? But it was sort of shocking to find out not only were we extremely white, we were whiter than we thought
we were really white.
Glow in the dark.
Well, our family were all blue-eyed blondes until my great-great-grandmother, who was Cherokee. That's when the brunette showed up.
Oh, well, I forgot the best part of the story with my mother-in-law.
Let's see, I'm Welsh, Scots, Irish, English, Dutch, French, and Cherokee, according to
Wow.
my great aunt,
And that's,
who spent
that's
her
an
lifetime researching.
understandable, yeah, that's an understandable combination. But my mother-in-law used to sort of take pride in the fact that she had Native American blood. She didn't have any at all.
There are a lot of people, especially down here and out west, who think that they're part Native American because it was just a rumor in the family. And then when they do a DNA test, they discover there's no
Well, a lot of
native blood in
enslaved
them at all.
people, when they escaped enslavement, they fled to Native American tribes who embraced them and cared for them. And there were a lot of Native American tribes who had been driven into the swamps and the uninhabitable land and managed to survive there. They took in escaped enslaved
Yeah.
African American people. So
Yeah.
it would stand to reason that that's like in Florida, that happened a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it would stand to reason, right? And, more power to them. It's remarkable that they were able to embrace such a different culture, especially after what happened to the Native Americans,
Yeah.
It's horrendous. The whole thing's a
But
gigantic stain
they're
on humanity.
I know there's this huge tribute in Ireland uh to the Native Americans who back during the Irish potato famine.
Yes.
One of the tribes heard about it, and they gathered all the money they could, which was like the equivalent of $15-$20.
Yes.
And they sent it to Ireland to help the people in this
I
town.
want to say it was the Cherokee, but that could be
I
wrong.
think it was either Cherokee or it was Navajo, and I don't remember which tribe it was.
It's a remarkable
act.
This
past, I guess a couple of years ago, I read an article
where
the small town in Ireland figured out what would that amount be today with all of the thing, and they sent it back to complete the circle.
Which is so beautiful because what does it show you? You extend love and you get love back.
Exactly.
What energy you put out is what you receive. And to give of yourself when you have nothing. Think about that money that came from the Native Americans to the people suffering the famine in Ireland. The Native Americans had less than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, these were people, living in dirt reservations. It was, and but just from the depths of their heart,
makes
they
me
were
want to cry. I know.
I mean, when I found out about it, and I was like, wow, I didn't learn that in the history books.
Of course you didn't.
I don't remember now what it was. Somebody had put a meme. Somebody had put a meme up with a picture of the monument that the Irish town had made, which are these huge, like marble feathers in a circle.
To honor them.
And it was absolutely beautiful. And when I saw it, and I read the meme, and I thought, let me look into that, and I went and researched, and I was like, wow. I've got this up because Rose Blue put.
What is this? I've been looking at that, and the squirrel church.
Ray Stevens did a song back in the 70s called the Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
Cat Stevens did?
No, Ray Stevens.
Oh,
the
Ray
one that
Stevens.
did the Streak and all of those. Well, he did a song called the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. And it's about this little kid who goes down south to visit with relatives. And he sneaks a squirrel into church. And the squirrel gets loose in church and starts like running up people's clothes and run around people. And people were like freaking out, jumping up, and they start telling all their sins. And it caused this huge revival it's a hilarious song. The a cappella group Home Free just did a cover of it this past year, which they did it like a cartoon, which was hilarious. But when Rose put that, I was like, okay, I got to put that up.
So she just reminded
one
you
of my husband's favorite songs because it was about something in Pascagoula, which is where he was from. So,
So do we have? Oh my God, my cards are so cold I can hardly hold them. It's ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all, if you want to start putting in your questions, go ahead. We've got a question that Helen wanted us to read on first that we're going to do.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it was the Choctaw.
Okay.
It was the Choctaw tribe. And when They calculated it to today's money. It was worth $5,000. And
Just
that's
a
what the Irish
remarkable act
city,
of kindness.
yeah. You saw a lot of that. Uh, but yeah, I'm from Louisiana. I was born and raised here, but my husband was from
No.
Mississippi. Yeah, like you can't tell. And but I grew up and down the Gulf Coast from Texas to Florida, up and down and up and down. My mother had wandering feet. She never stayed anywhere long. We were up and moving. So probably why I hate to move.
So we
And I
should
did it so much as a kid. I hate to do it now.
ask about this question because as soon as I heard the story, I felt sick in the pit of my stomach. That's never a good sign. So here's the question. I didn't investigate too much beyond like the sub headlines. Fonnie Willis, the person in Georgia who is running the show with
The person, the prosecutor.
election, yeah, fraud with Trump. Um, she's being accused of having I don't know how to not
An affair.
fraudulent, that's the wrong word, but like not immoral. What's the word I want? Where it's kind of shady for the fact that they work together.
Yeah, there's
Not
somebody that she
professional.
hired to work in her office, and then
Yeah, he had some sort of a relationship with one
they
of
want to
the.
say it was like a married man, but actually he was already in the process of getting divorced.
Yeah, and that's
From
how
what I
the story
understood.
broke. Was
So
his wife, his ex-wife, let the story out. Just kind of unseemly because they worked together and they've gone on vacations and he had been paid. Uh, so it makes questionable the money that was spent. So not that they stole the money, but that his income was a product of their working together, and then they have a personal relationship. So let's forget about the accusations and the ethics investigation of Matt Gaetz. Let's forget about our former president. Let's forget about the endless string of Republican behavior that's questionable morally, ethically, and otherwise. And let's go after Fonnie Willis because she's got one of the best chances of success.
there we go.
Unethical, that's the word I couldn't think of.
Somebody else wrote ethics in here, and I thought that's the word.
That's the word.
Unethical.
So I was hoping we could draw some cards on that, and I don't really have a
Absolutely.
question except this is
I know, because when I
gonna.
heard that, I thought, okay, and what's the problem?
This
They're
guy
two
gets away
consenting
with
adults.
everything. He gets away with everything.
It's like they're both consenting adults if they want to have an affair.
Well, it's because his income is a result of cases they work on together, and then they spent his income on vacation. So the question is that that's inappropriate. I don't know if that would even, if had I been
Is
in
it
that relationship,
inappropriate
it
that
may
he
not have even
uses his
occurred to me.
paycheck to do personal things?
Yeah,
Is what they're saying.
but yeah.
It's like, okay, that makes no sense. All right. Let's see what we get here.
It's just something for them to grab onto to get Trump off the hook. That's what that's all about, really. Okay. Oh dear. Shall I show you the first card I got? The Empress Reverse. This might definitely affect the case. It might undermine her authority and the legitimacy. And what is that? I can't
Ten of
see.
Swords.
Okay. Oh, look at this. Justice reversed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is really bad. I should trust my gut. And then look, the Nine of Swords.
Reversed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this might have a negative influence on the oh God, and look at what's at the bottom of the deck. The Five of Pentacles.
Well, that's not
Sorry,
good.
guys.
All right. Well, I pulled the Ten of Swords.
Yeah.
Followed by the Three of Swords.
Oh God.
But ending in the Sun. And then the bottom of the deck. What have we got here? the Knight of Pentacles.
Oh.
So, and that says with this deck, stable, loyal partner. So this, that relationship could turn into something long-term committed.
But it doesn't look good in the short term for the case, does it? As
Yeah.
far as her, oh man.
It's just like with the Three of Swords, I'm using the, what is it called? The Clarity Tarot. The Three of Swords, it says, quarreling but union worth saving. So it looks bad, but I think it's, if I'm going with this, then we're talking about it's going to work out, because they
obviously it's a legitimate relationship for them.
Yeah, that's
but
what I'm
what's
getting.
the effect going to be on the case? And I didn't get good cards.
Yeah, let me pull for the case. How's it going to affect?
Okay, let's be specific. Yeah, let's ask specifically. Yeah.
Hi, Clarence. Long time no see. Nice to see you here. And for all of you that popped in last night to the Cool Crone for her anniversary special, thank you. We had a lot of fun.
Really good.
I drug Helen along at the last minute.
Oh no, I came happily. I was more than happy.
Which everybody enjoyed. I like what Marina put. The optics aren't good, but her private life is her private life.
Well, I agree, but what we think, as correct as we always are, this is going to be taken and played to the hilt by the Republican opposition to the case, Yeah. So as far as the case goes, I got Judgment and the Moon reverse. So I think what this is saying about the case is legitimate. There's a legitimate wrong on his part, and his lies are going to be revealed. They're going to put an end to the lies and the deception. But I don't like this. The Ace of Wands. The action will be stopped. That concerns me. But I'll end on a card of hope, the Magician. I think there's enough force of personality and intelligence on the part of Fani Willis to overcome the negative effects. But this is going to really cause delays and controversy.
Yeah.
And was it Marina who said, let's concentrate on the real criminals? I totally agree.
Exactly.
I agree, but we had to ask. Yeah.
I pulled the Eight of Cups. So it's like walk away from it. Now, I don't know if they mean for her to walk away from the case or to walk away from the accusations and be like, look, my personal life is my personal life,
Yeah.
And then I pulled the Four of Swords, which is, I mean, when I look at this particular picture, the way this picture it's depicted looks more like they're there for protection.
Well, it's about upholding institutions, it can be. So if you look at the district attorney, the attorney general, the law.
And then I got the Three of Swords again.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, it may be heartbreak, or it may put a strain on their relationship. Oh, yeah, and then the bottom of the deck, I had the Tower. Stop giving me bad cards.
I know. Well, you can't, you get the cards that you get.
That's it. It's not like I have any control over it.
But, hang on a second. I live in a really old house. We're having storms and stuff, and our doors don't stay shut. I have this door that is creak. Let me go shut it tightly.
Go shut your door.
Driving me crazy.
Hi, Leah, and everybody that came in who I missed. Hi, Barbara.
Sorry about
And,
that.
that's okay. Let's see. Okay, we had a show here, a question here about Putin.
Ooh. Yeah, there's a lot of nasty manipulation on the part of Putin
Well,
going
I
on
know he
because,
was missing. They had Navalny. They couldn't find him.
yeah, they found him in Siberia.
Yeah. Boy, talk
Okay.
about really get cold.
So we should divide this into two questions because Putin and Navalny, their paths may be different.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
So,
All right. Well,
Putin,
let's start with Putin.
yeah.
What's happening with him? What is Putin up to? Hi, Judith. I'm trying to catch people as they walk in.
That's hard, huh?
It is because I'll get talking or reading and I'll forget to look at the chat. And then I look up and there's like,
Oh,
it's way up and gone. I'm like, oh God, what
I'm
did
sure
I miss?
people understand.
Yeah, I think most of them do.
Oh.
If you want to go ahead.
Okay.
I got to figure
So
out
first
what
I got
this is
the
saying.
Knight of Swords, which I kind of look at as Putin. He is very aggressively going after anyone who opposes him. He is focusing, like laser focused on this next election, which is hilarious because it's just going through the motions, really. There's no real democracy going on. But he's aggressively clearing the decks. He sent Navalny out of reach of his lawyers because they pass messages from Navalny, and Navalny kind of raises the spirits of protesters and people against Putin. And they arrested his 3 previous lawyers in October, and they're not going to even deal with them until after the election. And so this is what Putin is up to. And he absolutely cannot be trusted. He will present things as true, and he is not to be trusted. But look what I got for him. I got the 9 of Pentacles, sort of a loss of the luxuries of life, right? And Judgment.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very good.
All right. I pull the King of Wands. So
yeah.
He's trying to smooth talk his way into his next steps.
Yeah.
He's kind of trying to cover all bases here. And then I pulled Temperance. So that one I'm trying to figure out what.
Well, kind of like karma going into balance, like.
Yeah, there you go. That was I was like, what is it saying to me? Temperance, that makes sense. Yeah, kind of balancing out what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because then I ended up with the 4 of Cups.
Oh.
And so that's
really promising.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. In the bottom of the deck, I have the 10 of Swords.
Oh. Well, the 4 of Cups, I think, I don't know how you feel, it's your card, but I immediately thought of the Russian people. I think they're getting sick of him.
That, and I think they're going to start taking his money.
That'd be nice.
Start taking his money away from him.
Reining in the power that he has over all those rich people. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at Navalny.
Oh, this poor man.
I know.
I did cards on him about 3 or 4 weeks ago when he first disappeared, fell out of the public eye. Anyway.
I was just worried he was falling out of a window, but
yeah, there's a lot of that going on, isn't there? It's pretty contagious in Russia. We call it at our house. We call it Russian defenestrationitis.
Don't go in any tall buildings.
Be careful when you put your underwear on. You never know what poison he's put in your underwear.
Oh my God, they've already sent people to to England, wasn't it London, to
Yeah,
poison,
yeah, that was terrible.
and they were
It,
putting it like on the doorknobs and stuff. So
yeah,
anybody that,
completely innocent people. Some guy, I don't know, I think he was dumpster diving and he found a bottle of perfume and the poison was in the bottle of perfume. And it was expensive perfume. And he brought it home to his wife. And I think at least one of them died.
oh wow,
And an English Bobby, a cop. They followed the train of the Russian poison. I believe it was thallium, heavy metal. I could be wrong about that.
yeah, something
But
like that.
they followed that trail all through London. They were able, or maybe it wasn't London. I think it might have been like Salisbury or someplace. But they followed the trail that could go like an invisible map line that they just sort of left little traces of poison all along their way.
Ooh.
Terrible. Okay.
All right. Well, the first card I pulled was the Chariot.
Oh.
So whatever's happening, it's going to start moving quickly, I think, for him. Because then I pulled the Ten of Cups, and that's good. That's a celebration, things happening for him, things uplifting him, followed by the Queen of Pentacles, which again is more uplifting, things going on, taking care. He's like, whatever it is he needs, it's getting taken care of.
Yeah.
There are people there. They're going to make sure that he gets what's necessary. And then the bottom of the deck was the Knight of Swords. So you've got people doing battle for him. Or at least that's the way I'm picking it up.
Well, I got the Knight of Swords as well, but I got it reversed. And I think this is really referring to him being moved. They shut him up. Basically, they moved him.
Yeah.
Because this man speaks of compassion and justice, and he's got an inherent wisdom. And they tried to shut him up. And that's what the Two of Swords is. That they what are we going to do with this guy, right? And it's because of what he says and what he spurs people on to do. He inspires activism and resilience and strength in people who oppose Putin. And then I got the Five of Cups reversed, the move to Siberia, increasing his suffering and interfering with his ability to affect long-term goals. And people are very worried about him. We know this, but when the cards confirm it,
kind of back you up on it.
Yeah. But at the bottom of the deck, I get the Eight of Pentacles. I think a lot of people are working behind the scenes, like you got, right, for his protection and his health. Yeah. What did you get? The Knight of Swords there. Yeah, which his legal team, those people are really working.
Yeah, and the other cards I got were people financing things for him. So
yeah,
there are people that are putting the money up for his legal team to do what's necessary.
You know what it boils down to? I feel this in my gut. It's a race against the clock. How long can he hold out versus how long will Putin be around?
Yeah.
It's a race against the clock.
Exactly.
It's a terrible thing. And it's typical of dictators.
I like what Marina said. Putin's turning him into a martyr. Everything
Marina,
he does
that's what we got when we did cards a couple of weeks ago, is that Navalny,
I remember that.
Yeah. Intentionally returned to Russia, knowing he would be rearrested, knowing he would be persecuted by Putin, because he feels like that's his destiny. He sacrificed himself.
Exactly.
It's remarkable.
And a lot of the good that's coming out of it is that as the Russian people see Putin do more and more and more against Navalny, that martyr complex that's lifting him up, which is the exact opposite of what Putin wanted.
That's right.
It's like he
Yeah,
can't make the right move. And that's
that's
so
right.
unlike Putin, who for
It gives
so
the Russian
long
people,
just seemed to cruise, much like Trump, just seemed to cruise right along in
yeah,
everything he
oh,
did.
I know.
Just,
But it gives the Russian people something to focus on. They might have this unformed understanding that Putin is sketchy, but when they can see how he's singling this guy out and what he's doing to him, it opens their eyes.
yeah,
And I think it Navalny knew that. That's why he went back. Imagine the kind of courage you have
yeah,
to do that. It's
yeah,
remarkable.
yeah. Oh, Rose is saying that the Russian people think the sanctions will all lift as soon as the war is over with Ukraine, but that's not going to happen. Businesses aren't going to go back over there.
Would
That's
you would you want to?
no,
What
not
was the
even.
name
I
of that
mean,
billionaire, an American billionaire? His lawyer was murdered by Putin's regime. His lawyer was they had a business where they helped other businesses set up in Russia, negotiate,
yeah,
how that goes about. And I wish I could remember his name. Um, in the process of doing that, his lawyer slash accountant uncovered all this corruption, like tax money and taking bribes and stuff. And when he made it public that he discovered it, he was arrested by Putin's thugs, and he was beaten to death in prison. And
yeah.
his boss immediately took his
Abramowitz,
money. Pardon me?
is that his name?
No, there's a law named after him. His boss went back, got out of Russia, took his money with him, and has dedicated his life to find justice for his friend who was beaten to death by Putin. And they passed a law. Oh my God, I wish I'd looked this up, but it didn't occur to me that we talked about it. It's named after his friend who was murdered, and it's an international thing.
Yeah.
I want to say Nijinsky, but that's a ballet dancer.
Yeah, no, it begins with an M.
Oh,
The letter M. It begins with an M.
I'm going to look it up really fast because it's going to haunt me if
Oh
I don't.
crap! Yeah, that's gonna drive me crazy. I can't think of his name.
God. And you can kind of see it on the tip of your tongue, right?
Yeah, it's like it's right there, but I
Okay,
can't
here we
pull
go.
it.
So, lawyer beaten to death in Russia.
It's like Minsky or something.
Yeah. It is Magnitsky.
Magnitsky.
And the
Okay.
Magnitsky
You
Act.
were awfully close, Marina.
Yeah.
I knew it was an M.
Pardon me?
I said I knew it was an M. I kept seeing M.
Don't you hate that? And the older I get, the more trouble I have trying to remember anything. Bill Browder. Bill Browder is the billionaire. And you can find a number of podcasts that have interviewed him, and he talks at length about how he has absolutely dedicated his life for justice for his friend. And they passed the Magnitsky Act, and let me get the specifics of that. They made it international.
Yeah.
It's the Russian and Moldova Jackson Vanik Repeal and Sergei Magnitsky Rule of Law Accountability Act of 2012, a bipartisan bill passed by the U.S. Congress, signed by Obama, intended to punish Russian officials responsible for the death of Russian tax lawyer Sergei Magnitsky in Moscow prison in 2009, and to grant permanent normal trade relations status to Russia. But let's see about, here we go, the Global Magnitsky Act. Okay, it puts sanctions on governments involved in human rights violations.
That's it. Yeah, I was trying to think. I knew it was
I
something.
couldn't even remember what it was about. I know.
And like I said, I knew it was an M, and I kept thinking, okay, it's something that happens to like everybody gets punished for it or something.
I think
Yeah.
about being that guy, Bill Browder, and you're a multi-billionaire. This guy is so famously rich, and he did it ethically. He when he went to start businesses in Russia, he realized he was facing this spider's web of corruption and difficulty, all the rules, and so he formed a company to clear that out for people and clear the path so people would obey Russian law and not get in trouble. It was intentionally arcane so that if you started a business, you were very likely to break some stupid rule you didn't know about, and it brought in all kinds of fine money to the corrupt people. So he cleared that up, and they didn't like him from day one. And then when they exposed all this fraud, tax fraud and corruption, oh, they shut him up by beating him to death in the jail. Terrible thing. And imagine being the billionaire who he's a billionaire. He could have walked away and been, cozy
Yeah.
life,
But you
right?
know that somebody you hired to give you
Oh,
information is beat to death
yeah. Just for
because
doing
they
his job.
uncovered the truth. I mean, it's like, wow, really? I mean, that would be a heavy burden to have to carry, you
A
know?
lot of people seem to be able to function with those sorts of burdens. They don't seem to bother them. He has dedicated his life, and what has come from it is this global law, international law that has done so much good. Because if you want to really get to somebody who's corrupt, you hit him in the pocketbook. you know?
That's the best way to get any action out of them. Hi, Jean. Sun Psychic Jean just popped in.
Oh,
She
that's
will
so
be
nice.
on with me tomorrow. So, Jean and I are doing a show together
Your
tomorrow.
dance card is always full, Sherry.
It seems that way. Well, Jean and I automatically sees like whoever's channel we're on, and then after the show, we'll set up the next one on the other person.
That's really
And
smart.
so
Yeah.
we go back and forth, and you don't get caught up and carried away and then forget, and it's
Well, I explained to you, I think off the camera yesterday, that this has been a really bizarre few weeks since Christmas and the January, because I've been trying to encourage people who wrote books or are experts
yeah,
about stuff to come and talk. And they tend to be really booked far in advance, and you don't ever get to talk to them. You talk to their secretary or their publicist or their somebody. And so it's multiple layers of getting back and forth and back and forth. And I have to leave schedule open, because if they have half an hour of time, it may be the only half an hour they have, and I
yeah,
don't want to book, and block them. So I've been
exactly.
sort of in this weird no man's land for 3 or 4 weeks, and I've met a lot of new people, and so I've been trying to connect with other people. So
Right.
it's been so frustrating. Tomorrow, well, what day is this? This is Saturday. So
Saturday.
Monday, yeah, the weather, we don't even know what day it is. Monday, I intend to sit down and try to figure out some sort of schedule, calendar type thing. Don't you disappear today until we.
I'm not going anywhere, I promise.
It's
I know.
insane.
Hi, Teresa. I know what I made a mistake in doing in the beginning was I would email 4, 5, 6 people at once
I know.
and give them all the same dates that I had open. And invariably, everybody would pick like the same day
Yeah, yeah.
and the same time. And be like, okay, that's not going to work. So I
Well,
finally got it and said, okay, so person A, I'll email and say, well, I'm available on, this
yeah,
Saturday,
yeah,
this Sunday,
yeah.
and let me know if that works for you. And then person B, I'll give a different weekend
Yeah.
that I'm available, so that when they respond, they're responding to a different date.
Oh, you're very responsible. You're familiar now with the dog's dinner I managed to make out of calendars and schedules. Yes, I won't even tell you what I did
Got a
yesterday.
day planner. That's what
Oh,
keeps me
that's
from
so
messing up.
good. That's your brain right there, huh?
It absolutely, if
Yeah,
something
yeah,
happened to it, I
smart.
would be so lost. Because in the beginning, I was double booking myself. I would,
Yeah, see, that's
or
what.
overlapping myself, and or I'd get the days mixed up. It was like, okay, no, this isn't going to work. I gotta be able to write this down so I can look at it. And I try to put it in my Google Calendar so I can send out reminders to everybody if it, to a guest.
Oh, now you're getting fancy.
But I forget to put it in the Google Calendar. So, every now and again I'll remember, but usually I forget.
So do we have another question? Who should we read
We have
about?
one more. Rose had a question.
Of course they do.
Oh. Well, why would why would they want to?
Cassidy Hutchison, huh?
Yeah, why would they want to investigate?
Well, I know.
I guess because she's really come clean about a lot of stuff. Hi, Rose. We're supposed to have a hard freeze tonight and possible snow on Monday, they said. But that could change. We are in Louisiana. Weather's been known to change on a dime.
Oh, this card is interesting.
Let's see. All right. Cassidy Hutchinson. So is that Comer's committee or is that Jim Jordan's committee?
I think that's how ironic. How ironic that you could say those words in the same sentence, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And stop and think both of them are idiots.
Oh, that's what I mean. It's called the chickens, the fox going in, in charge of the hen house, right?
Very much so. It's Comer's. Okay, it's Comer's. Comer Pyle is Colleen talking. Ooh. Let's see what we got here.
I'm eager to see what you got.
Oh, I had a couple of them that stuck together. Let's see here. Well, I started out with a Knight of Cups. So they're wanting to get, I almost feel personal.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to know, how do you know this stuff? Who were you sleeping with? That kind of nonsense. Followed by the Knight of Wands.
Oh.
And so that's like, I feel like with the Knight of Wands here, they're pursuing that information.
Yeah, they're going after her.
Drive her down. Followed by the Eight of Wands.
Oh, they're going to make more than one accusation, huh?
Oh yeah, they're gonna sock it to her. And then the Three of Pentacles, because that's stuck to the back of the other one. So I'm trying to. I think that they're going to drag her in and try to do all this stuff, and she's going to show up as being responsible and ethical and did her job.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go good for her and not them. And because the bottom of the deck was the Nine of Wands.
Okay. Well, that's basically what I got. Different cards, same story.
Yeah. A lot of wands.
Here she is.
3 wands. Yeah.
Speaking of wands, I got the 7 of wands. Here she is defending herself. They are going to try to put so much doubt on her character that anything she has to offer she's going to be a witness. They're going to try to they're trying to get ahead of her as a witness and cast doubt on her legitimacy as a witness and as a person. But she's coming out ahead of this because she's got the goods.
Yeah.
And she's going to be fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
prevail because she's telling the truth. Yeah.
Exactly. Rose just slipped one in and said, "Can y'all please read on the Texas grid for next week?" because Texas has got some really bad weather
That,
coming,
okay.
coming next week. And are they going to be in a deep freeze like last time?
Well, that's easy enough to figure out. We just go see about airplane reservations for Ted Cruz.
Yeah. Has he booked Cancun again?
Yeah, if he's got a vacation book, then they're probably anticipating a problem.
When that information came out, it blew my mind. I had no clue that they weren't tied into the regular, the national grid where, they're able to plug in and help each other out if something happens.
That's because Texas doesn't want any federal help until it needs FEMA.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're talking out of both sides of their mouths, Okay, what do we got here? Oh, that obviously didn't get shuffled right.
You can go if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, I got Temperance reversed. These cards are famous Renaissance paintings.
Yeah, I love those.
And they're cool, huh?
Yeah.
There's going to be a problem of some sort. Yes, Temperance reversed. The grid out of balance. Let's put it that way. It's going to be at least challenged, and some people are going to be hurting. So
yeah,
I'm leaning towards they may have problems, and this is why. It's just this long history of corrupt money dealing and power dealing going on in the background. We know not power, electricity, power, political power, and the people are the ones who are going to suffer and possibly have to, hunker down like before. I would say
you
from
got
these
plenty of
cards,
firewood in your
they're
garage.
set up for a problem.
Yeah. I started out with the Knight of Wands again. So to me, it seems like that they're pretending everything is okay and they've got it all under control.
Oh yeah.
They're given that they're like, nope, it's cool, we got it. Don't worry about it. Which is the Nine of Cups. They're just re-emphasizing. Oh no, we've got it all. What people don't realize is a lot of that money that they did get to fix the grid, they pocketed. They didn't do.
Well, I think that's probably what this is.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Followed by the Eight of Cups again.
Oh.
So I think people are going to lose out. And then the bottom of the deck is the Nine of Pentacles.
Oh.
Did you pull a Pentacle? Did you pull Pentacles? Didn't you pull Pentacles?
I was just looking. No, that was the last question.
That was the last one. Okay.
Yeah, that was about Cassidy Hutchison.
Yeah, so they've been busy stuffing their pockets and pocketing all that money instead of doing what needs to be done to fix things because they really don't give a crap what happened.
Well, did you hear what old what's his face said the other day, the governor? He was lamenting that he couldn't order his police force, his words, not mine, to shoot people coming across the border. And he was lamenting he couldn't do it because Biden would be unhappy about it. He would get arrested by Biden. Other than that, there's nothing to stop it, right? That was the implication, not my words. That's what the governor of Texas said.
It's
breathtaking.
And what gets me is all of this hullabaloo over immigrants coming over the border when so many of them come over to work, not to stay. A lot of them are just migrant workers. They come over, they work the fields, they bring in the harvest, they do whatever needs to be done, get their money, and they go back to their country, take care of their family until the next season comes along. Because they can make more money in one season here than they can in years of work at home.
And if you want to be pragmatic about it, this last harvest, the crops rotting in the field because there was nobody to work them. In the
Right.
meantime, the majority of people who are here without documentation flew in with a visa and just outstayed their visa.
Yeah.
And like a large percentage of people students and stuff who come from Ireland stay against their visa when it expires. And then if we're going to worry
We
about
lost
the
a couple of
border,
students last year that had overstayed
yeah,
and didn't file their paperwork, and we almost lost a professor because she didn't realize she had to refile.
right. And then the big question is, what's really behind this distraction? Because that's what it is, of the hordes at the southern border. What about the world's longest unprotected border to our north? What about the hordes of Canadians? Well, we don't worry about that because they're white. We worry about the southern border because they're
And they're
darker
more
skinned.
worried about us going there than them coming here
Yeah, I know.
in Canada.
For medical treatment, abortions. It's one of the places it's now recommended as a good place to retire to as American is go to Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know several people that have retirement homes down in like uh not Boca Raton,
Cabo.
Cabo San Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's right there. They're on the Pacific.
It's beautiful.
On one side,
One of my
the other side, they're
daughters.
in the bay, and yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. One of my daughters is in Mexico City right now. She and her boyfriend are working from home. So they decided, what the heck? They worked out the arrangements and they're traveling in Latin America for the next 6 months. So they go and they rent an Airbnb for a month, and they still have their jobs. They do their jobs every day. But then they can interact with the culture and they can travel and enjoy themselves. So they keep sending, they're vegan, militant vegan. They keep sending us photographs of all these fabulous meals they're having in Mexico City. They said it's a vegan paradise.
Really?
Just unbelievable food. And their next step at the end of this month, they were going to Ecuador. That didn't work out so well. There's a total political unrest in Ecuador suddenly now. It's dangerous. So they've changed and they're going to Peru. So I'm traveling vicariously. I don't have to leave my living room.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know when I lived in Phoenix, one of the guys I worked with, he and his wife would take cruises 2-3 times a year. They would take a vacation and go on a cruise. And most of the time they would go south and down into Mexico, or they would go over the Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
One year they went up to Alaska. They did the Alaskan cruise. And oh my God, the pictures they sent back were just unbelievably gorgeous. And he was like, the pictures don't even begin to do it justice. I was like, geez, man. He took a picture. They went up, they took a helicopter ride out to one of the glaciers. And so they got to go out and walk around on this glacier. And there was one with this fissure. And he went right up to the edge to take a picture, looking down into this bottomless nothingness. And I'm like, dude, you weren't terrified that the ice was going to crack and you were going to fall?
Or you slip. Have you ever slipped on ice?
Yeah, it'd be like, I'd be worried I'd fall down that crack.
Yes. Did you ask him just to send you a postcard? You were good. It's kind of my attitude. I'm not adventurous. I like to be in new places. I just don't like the process of getting there. And I'm going to sound like an ugly American by saying this, but I really, really value American plumbing. And I've been places where that doesn't exist. And no shade on what is going on in the rest of the world. I'm selfish and
Yeah.
indolent, and I really like a flush toilet. I really value a flush toilet and a really good source of espresso. And if I can't have those, I'm not interested. Isn't
Oh,
that
yeah.
terrible?
I used to be friends with a couple before they split up, and his idea of vacation was to get the tent, grab the kids, and go up to the lake and go fishing for 2 weeks
No,
in
jeez.
in a tent. I was like, well, where's your part of the vacation? She says, I don't get any vacation. She says, I'm busy chasing the kids around to keep them from getting lost in the woods or falling in the river.
Fallen into the fire. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
falling
yeah.
into the
Forget
fires,
that.
having to clean fish and cook it every night when we come home
Oh,
with fish.
oh God.
I'm
That's
like,
a
I'm
nightmare.
sorry.
That's
I
not
said, my
vacation.
idea of vacation is room service with air conditioning and a drink with an umbrella in the top. And if you don't have that, don't talk to me.
I've often said that my idea of winter sport is hot toddy.
Oh, you froze, Helen.
That's all I want to do. I'm not interested in anything adventure.
Oh, we lost her completely. Hang on, she'll be back in a minute. Weather must be getting touchy up there. Hi, Allie. There you are.
I took a little
You
break.
froze and then you
Who
disappeared.
knows? Who knows? The gods, the vacation gods, didn't like me commenting negatively about adventure vacations.
Yeah, I'm not a beach. Give me a beach. Give me a drink with an umbrella and a room with room service. I'm a happy camper. But
That's right. I've never
I
been to
didn't-
a place where they have those cute young guys who come to your lounge chair on the sand and bring you drinks. Now that's a vacation.
yeah, let me tell you, I've never had that either. But I had the next best thing:
Oh,
a room on the beach, and we stayed for like 3 or 4 days. So that was kind of cool. Just walk out the patio onto the sand and
where were you? What beach?
oh, we were Florida,
Oh,
up in Fort Walton Beach. Was that on it's either Santa Rosa Island or Okaloosa Island. I don't remember.
the lovely state of DeSantistan, huh?
Back when it wasn't
Yeah,
bad,
it's gone
you
through a
know,
lot of changes. Yeah,
it used to be a really great place to live and to visit, but
yeah,
they've ruined so much of it with all a lot of the northern part of Florida
yeah. Hmm.
on the Gulf side was so pristine and pretty. And then they've turned it into a mini Miami. And so now it's hard to even find the beach. You got nothing but condos.
Really?
Look.
Oh,
And
well, do you know who Rick Wilson is?
yeah,
Okay, so he lives in Florida. He talks about Florida quite a bit, and his take on it, and I tend to believe him, is that there are actually far more compassionate, normal people living in Florida than anybody would like to mislead you into thinking,
yeah,
and that this is just a vocal, very active, aggressive minority that are making things so difficult for so many people,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and he
I
is
think
such a
that's true. I
conservative
think that's true in
generally.
a lot of areas in the South. There's a lot more normal, compassionate people.
Yeah, they just don't have the voice or the power or
No,
the
they
money.
they
Yeah.
yeah, or the money. I mean, our brand new governor made it quite clear day before yesterday. He announced that he was fully backing Trump for president. I'm like, oh God, really? You've only been inaugurated a week. That's your first announcement. Trump for president. And he was one of the AGs, one of the first ones to sign on to the Stop the Steal, because he was our AG here in the state for the
Yeah.
last like
Yeah.
5 or 6 years. Um, but he comes from a very old, moneyed family down
What's
here,
his name?
Landry,
Landry.
Jeff
Oh,
Landry.
Landry. Yeah, that name is very, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I would
that's
associate that with Louisiana landowners. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, big time. big
Yeah.
time. I think his family rice farmers. I think they're or either rice or sugar cane. I don't remember which. But yeah, he's
Don't
one of
I don't always think of Louisiana in those terms. I think of places like South Carolina, rice, but I think more of fishing and oil.
yeah. There's a lot of fishing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of oil and gas down here.
yeah,
A lot of fishing and shrimping and crabbing and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But there's big time rice farmers down here because the land is
Interesting.
perfect for it because
Wet, yeah,
it's
yeah.
wet and sugarcane. God forbid you get stuck on a 2-lane blacktop behind a sugarcane truck. You're gonna be there forever.
You know, cutting sugar cane is considered one of the most dangerous jobs in the world.
Yeah,
Think about that.
yeah, absolutely. I know my mom used to say, growing up as kids, they would when the trucks would, when they would come through to cut the sugar cane, they would always leave piles of extras behind for the kids to come in behind them and pick it up. She said they'd walk around chewing on sugarcane stalks all day, just something sweet to chew on. And but yeah, it's big down here. And then you go a little bit more north, and it's more soybeans and that kind of stuff. Um,
In California, you just reminded me of something grosses me out. When I was a kid in California, there was a weed that grew called sour grass. And it was a long, stocky thing with a flower. And as children, we would pick it close to the ground, and you'd have this long, thin green stem, and you chew it, and it was sour. You just chew on it for the fun of it. And until one day, my good friend's older brother told me, "How do you know a dog hasn't peed on that?" I was horrified. It never
oh
occurred to
yeah,
me. I
there
was
you go.
absolutely
That'll change
horrified.
your mind.
I hadn't thought about sour grass in a really long time.
Exactly, exactly. Well, Helen, it's been an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, and we have no problem finding something to talk about.
Not at all, not at all. I do have a question that got snuck in a few minutes ago.
Oh,
If
okay.
you can stay,
Oh,
okay.
I'd love to.
I wanted to make sure that you weren't like ready to go.
No,
Um,
I probably have to go. I could give you another 15 minutes for sure.
cool. We should
Okay.
be able to do that. Okay, Sandra had a question. If there will be an investigation into the recordings of Roger Stone.
That lunatic, allegedly.
And only people who think that they're not going to get caught walk around and have documentary companies following them around and recording everything they do.
It's called hubris.
Yeah,
That sense that you're invincible and just above everybody else.
exactly.
Narcissistic kind of thing. You're not supposed to judge people by appearance, but when somebody dresses like a comic book villain, it's hard to ignore.
And has Richard Nixon on their back.
Oh, we won't even go there. That's just appalling.
The first time I saw a picture of that, I thought, that man paid somebody money to put that on his back. It's like, that's just gross.
Ooh, I like these cards.
Go ahead and go if
Well,
you're
first
ready.
I got the Empress, which indicates to me that someone's got their eye on him. Somebody from a position of, removed from his scene, position of authority and compassion, has heard this and is looking at it. So maybe an investigation. He's going to lose his influence and power. Here again, we have a woman, the Queen of Cups. So the Empress and the Queen of Cups. There's somebody who gives what about these sorts of statements that he made, who wants to do something about it. So I think they're considering an investigation. And his little world is going to be turned upside down. And we end with the grand finale, the Tower. I think that's a big fat yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. First
Who
card I
did he
got.
threaten?
Do we know who it was that he threatened or that he wanted to kill? I didn't. I heard somebody talking about it, but I don't know who it
Yeah, I
was.
didn't pursue it. Yeah.
Um, I'm looking to see if anybody might have wrote something. Okay, somebody Google it. Find out who he wanted to kill.
What did you get, Sherry?
I drew Judgment. Was the
Oh.
first card I got, followed by the Six of Wands.
Oh, well, what does that mean?
That's what I was sitting here looking at. It looks like, I think this is him thinking, I got this. Not a problem. Get this piece of paper over here that says I'm immune.
That's that hubris, that
Yeah.
arrogant, narcissistic thing. Yeah.
Followed by the Eight of Swords.
Oh.
He's got another think coming. And on the bottom, the Six of Swords.
That's really interesting. Do you think that is an indication that he's going to, I got strength over turn, you got the Six of Swords. Is he going to have to just take himself out of the public eye because he's just,
or he's
lost
going to
all
be taken
credibility?
out of the public eye? One of the
Taken
two.
out, right.
Because I look at this Eight of Swords where it fell. I mean,
Yeah.
that's somebody bound up. That's trouble.
And swords, you're talking truth, and I always think of like legal.
Jerry Nadler and Eric Swalwell.
Oh, he's the one who threatened to kill Eric Swalwell.
Yeah.
I knew there'd been a threat.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was him. And
Shall we read on their safety?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do Swalwell first.
Okay.
I really like him.
Oh, I love him. I have a big old political nerd crush on Eric Swalwell.
I do now on Moskowitz. He's my second crush now.
Well, I like Adam Kinzinger, which is hilarious because he's so conservative, really. I would not agree with him under ordinary circumstances, but... And I have a huge, gigantic girl crush on Katie Porter. I love her.
Oh, yeah. I think that's what I like about Moskowitz, because Moskowitz shows up papers in hand. He's ready. We did a interview with Midas Touch the other day. Ben Masilas did an interview with him and was talking to him about how, he's always showing up. He's like, oh, yeah. He says, I spend more time researching what I'm going to throw at them in committee hearings than I do anything else, because I know they're going to try to pull something. So it's trying to make sure that I've got...
What's the name of the young woman in the House of Representatives? Her first name is Jasmine. I can't remember her second name right now. She's young. She's new. And oh my God, she can talk circles around anybody, and she gives them hell every time she gets the floor. It's Jasmine Crockett, a thing of beauty to watch her at work. It's wonderful.
What? Well, let me first apologize for my... the first time I watched her, I was like, oh, you go, girl.
I just love her. I admire her ability to speak directly and clearly and just hit all the right notes under pressure, because that's hard to do,
I know I watched a clip one day. She was saying something about Boebert was
oh God. Oh.
Was doing something other, and it was her turn to talk. And she says, let me first apologize for my co-worker here, who let's see, Does she have a degree in law? No, that's right. She's not a lawyer. I'm the lawyer. I have a degree in law. And da 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 da. Da. I was like, oh damn. Talk about call somebody out for being a dumbass.
Well, she was a high school dropout. And,
Bobert
you know,
was,
we're
yeah.
all human and we all have our vulnerabilities, and it's not fair to use those as ammunition to get against people until they do things to threaten democracy and they put themselves forward as reliable and correct
Well,
and
that was
champion.
whatever the issue was that they were debating. Bobert was like
She's a moron.
talking up that like she knew exactly what she was talking about,
Yeah.
and she was trying to invoke some rule for the committee hearing that wasn't allowed in that particular kind of committee. And
What we don't hear often enough in mainstream news is that Lauren Boebert makes all these proclamations and erroneous things on the floor of the House of Representatives. But then she goes home and she gets paid to do speeches to right-wing Christian national organizations about the sanctity of marriage and the family, et cetera, et cetera. And then you look at what's going on in her personal life. It's one gigantic, chaotic mess. But she's
yeah,
holding
she's
herself up as an example of righteousness. And it's just hypocritical and it's annoying. Sorry, I'll
Lois said
stop.
she had to take her GED 3 times so she could run for Congress. Wow.
So what did you get, Sherry, for their safety?
The first thing I got was Page of Swords.
Okay.
So I feel like there are people around him that are making sure he's safe, but they're doing it in such a way that it's not obvious. And then I got the Ace of Cups. And so that to me is saying that, yeah, he's going to be protected. He's going to be okay. Followed by the Wheel of Fortune. So he's going to be around for a long time.
Got a political future, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
ooh, big
I got
time.
strength. That's good. The Nine of Pentacles. Is it the 8 or the 9? I never know the numbers. The 9 of Pentacles, which is protection too. There's an aggressive threat. Absolutely. There is a threat. But I believe that the powers that be are going to overturn it. And look what I got, Sherry. The Ace of Cups.
Both got the Ace of Cups. Oh, in the bottom of the deck, the Queen of Swords.
Oh, well, I got something that goes along with that in complementary ways. You know, you're talking about justice, truth, and government, and I got strong institutions. So
there you go.
Protected, yeah. So now we're going to look
Walwell's
at
got a long career ahead of him.
Nadler.
They barking up the wrong tree. They think they're going to scare him away.
He's very brave.
He is. And I don't know anything about his family, his wife, and his kids, but I know it's a concern for him to make sure they're safe. But I get a feeling that his wife is just as strong-willed as he is.
Yeah.
Or he would have backed down by now.
He wouldn't have had anything to do with it. Look at Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan when they were going to kidnap her. They were at a family summer cabin. And I'm sure it's nicer than my idea of a cabin, but she has teenage daughters, and they were there, and they were stalking that house and stalking them, and that must be really terrifying for her as a mother to know that.
Absolutely. I mean,
okay, so Jerry Nadler.
Ooh. You want to go or you want me to go?
Are you ready? You go.
Okay. First thing I pulled was death.
This
is what they have planned for him. Oh, wow. Followed by the Knight of Wands. He's got protection. No, you did not pull the same.
I'm not making it up. You saw me shuffle. So 1, 2, 3. Let's hold up our third card. See if we got the same
King
card.
of Pentacles.
Okay, I got the Emperor. Pretty
Close
close
enough.
though.
And then at the bottom of the deck, the King of Swords.
Okay, well, I got something a little more interesting. So we both got death, which is what they have planned, but I think it's time for him to change. I think this threat of action against him, is sort of a signal, and I think he's wise. I think he knows that this is
Yeah.
the moment. I
Yeah.
think he's going to have to retire. The Ace of Wands reversed. Time for him to just back out of the mainstream action. He's facing lunatics. The Seven of Cups reversed. He's facing a toxic situation, and
Yeah.
he's too old for this nonsense. Not too old to do a job per se, just too old
No.
to be dealing with this insanity. Come on, you deserve a break. And he's wise. I think he is, in his heart of hearts, I think he's a thing of tradition, a thing of convention, a person coming from an older view of government. I think it's time for him to go. And not in a bad way. I just think
No,
this will
I
get
think
him to
he's,
retire. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
worth it.
no, I think you're right. I think it's time for him
And at the
to,
bottom of the deck, his family would like that. I think
yeah,
that's what they want. Yeah.
yeah. I think that I think he's at the stage where his family is more important now
They've had enough.
than the career.
You know what it reminds me of? When that, I don't like to say the word, I always get in trouble. When that unfortunate medical event that happened over the past few years, you know what I'm talking about? That happened everywhere in the world, right? We forced my husband to retire. He's 74. It's not like he was retiring young. We weren't really financially able to, but we had no choice because he has a bad heart. And he worked in a hospital, by the way. So we got him to retire. And I get the same picture in my mind about Jerry Nadler's family. They're like, okay, this is it. Enough with the death threats, enough with these crazy people coming after you. You've done everything you can do. Things are getting too weird. Time just, you've
After
done,
30
yeah,
plus years in the
yeah.
medical field, when all of that craziness occurred, I know my son said to me one day, he said, I've never been more glad that you're no longer in the medical profession than I am now.
What did you do?
I did mostly administrative work. In the beginning, I was a phlebotomist. I was the one walking around drawing blood from people.
That's where my husband started. He became a med tech and he worked in the clinical
Yeah,
laboratory.
I was phlebotomist for like 14 years. And then I went into doing the being like a quality assurance inspector
Right.
within the lab I worked
Lab.
in. And then when I went out west and moved to Phoenix, I went to work for a medical testing laboratory, Sonora Quest Laboratories, which is under Banner Health. And I worked in a profit arm of a nonprofit. And that's all we did was medical testing. We had our own hysteronomy department, where you walked in the door and you'd see body parts laying around.
Yeah, they do
That's what we're working
tissue
on.
studies.
You
Yeah.
couldn't walk down the hallway without the smell of the formaldehyde.
Ew.
It was
No, thank you. Yeah.
but yeah, and I worked in an office. I did the paperwork. I answered the phones. I did the dispatching for our phlebotomist.
Yeah.
And our department dealt strictly with long-term care patients. So we had teams of phlebotomists that
Go out
every
and draw
morning
blood.
would go out to all the nursing homes and draw
Yeah.
blood. And then during the day,
the
if
home
stat
health
orders
people.
would be called in, we had a home health crew that would go to the
It's
houses
really interesting.
and stuff. And yeah, I know with the home health crew, they never knew what they were walking into,
That's
whether
true.
if it was something that was just like you felt like you needed a shower when you walked out,
Yeah.
or walking into some of these super wealthy people's homes, where it's spotless and they've got named butlers and
I
but
interacted a lot with home health care people, public health nurses, that kind of thing, because what I did was a family would hire me and I would be the person all day long. I did the nursing care and everything else for an elderly person who was, declining. And so we interacted a lot. The family and I interacted a lot with home health care, public health nursing, that kind of thing. Fascinating. Those people deserve medals. They deserve congressional medals of honor. The stories they told about
Oh God,
going into
yes.
homes, and you just don't know. You
And
don't
with
know.
nursing homes, I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
go into the wealthy nursing homes with people who can afford to pay for it,
Oh yeah.
and it's a completely different world as
Yes.
opposed to a state run where people get sent there because they have no money, no insurance, no family, or they have family that don't give a crap and don't want to deal with it. And I mean, those people are one step up from living in abject squalor.
I
Uh,
learned a sad thing that it's more common than not, and it has nothing to do with your financial situation, that families disappear when people get old and sick.
yeah,
And it happens in wealthy families who can
I
afford to
found
deal.
I found it happened more in the wealthy families.
They can insulate themselves by hiring other people,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
private nurses or
that's
private
right.
nursing homes,
That's
that
where I
kind of
came in.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have people that never see their family, their
When you see them,
kids.
you see them when the person is 100% on their deathbed. They're like, it's a matter of hours. They come out from under the woodwork looking to see what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Which
Oh yeah.
china, which silver, which collectibles. It's
Oh yeah. The
unbelievable.
job I had in Phoenix, I mean, I had to go through annual FBI checks and fingerprint checks. Even though I worked in an office, I didn't go to their homes. But because I had access to all their information
Well,
online,
right, right.
I mean, I
You
could have,
watch Dateline, right? You know
yeah,
the
I mean,
things
if I'd
that
have been a
people do.
criminal, I could
Yeah.
have cleaned a house.
It's
Um,
horrendous, the kind of horrible things that people take advantage of the elderly. They take
mhm.
advantage of the families of the elderly. It's
Oh
a
yeah,
huge crime. It's a huge problem. It's
yeah,
really bad.
very much
So
so,
the
very much.
moral of that, what's the moral of that story, Sherry?
I would say give it all away before you get to that point. That way they don't have to worry about getting anything.
Well, there are a couple of words of advice. If you have a will, if you have insurance, tell everybody around you don't, or don't let them know who the inheritors are, and
Yeah.
certainly don't tell people that they're scheduled to get money from life insurance or something. You don't want to be on Dateline. Also, be really nice to your kids if you have kids.
Well, when we had to start taking care of my mom, we took care of her last 10 years. That's when we all moved in together. My
That's what you
son, my
said. You all
brother,
moved in to help. That's
we
beautiful.
all moved in together to tag team it. And so, I know my son's there to take care of me.
Yes.
Just like I know my nephew's going to be there to take care of his dad.
Because you set the good example.
Exactly.
And that's so
Exactly.
important. Yeah, so
And
important. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like my brother and I are only 6 years apart in age. But I mean, we're not spring chickens anymore ourselves. So it
My
helps
husband
living
had a
together
heart attack.
because we're here to help each other with
Yeah,
everything.
and it passes on. They see role modeling. My husband had a heart attack kind of young, and my older children were in graduate school in Chicago, living in another big city, and I had to take my younger children in the car and kind of follow along behind the ambulance to the big city with the real hospital, and it was hours and hours away. By the time we got there, my two oldest children had already arrived with their spouses,
Yeah.
like, and I thought, oh, thank God, we did something right.
When my mother had the brain aneurysm, uh, she was in Phoenix with me at the time. And so Barrows Neurological Institute is there. It's like one of the top 5 neurological hospitals in the world. And so we were very lucky in that respect.
Yeah, they were
And
in the right place for the
the
right
right place
care.
at the right
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And they were able to get her in, and they did what is now a standard procedure. At the time it happened to her, it was an experimental procedure because we had to sign off paperwork saying that they could try it on her. And it's called the coil
Oh
um,
yeah. Yeah.
treatment, where they go
Yeah.
in through the femoral artery in the
Right.
groin
Yeah.
and they go up into the brain.
Yeah.
And then she didn't have a vessel that burst. She had one that sprung a leak.
Oh, she didn't have a clot.
No, she
No,
had
she had a little leak.
she had a vessel that sprung a leak in her brain, and they went in and just stuffed it with wire, titanium wire.
Isn't
And
that
it was
incredible?
cotton
They have
wire.
these little umbrellas that they can put up your bloodstream to where the clot is to catch any other particles. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of
When she started
unbelievable.
having bad clotting and problem around her heart, we went into the
Mhm.
hospital so they could run some final tests because they were going to put her in and put stents in. And her heart specialist came back after they went in and did all the procedures to look at everything and said, "We don't have to do anything, Miss Miller." He said it fixed itself. He says, "I've only seen this happen a handful of times in my entire career." He says all the vessels sprouted off from the main one, went around the
Yeah,
clock, and rejoined on the other side.
yeah,
And he said it fixed itself. He said it's very rare, but I've seen it a couple of times.
yeah.
And he was
Wow,
like,
that
an
was
old
lucky,
lady
huh?
that just, yeah. So, I mean, she was always healthy as a horse,
Well,
and she had,
it's a combination of luck and genetics, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
um, most
Sherry, I
of
hate
the
to do this,
family.
but now I do have to go.
Okay.
I'm never the one who has to go. This is it's a new feeling, but I have to go. I'm so sorry. I have another commitment, so I'm
Oh, no,
sorry.
not a problem. Not a problem. We've been on for an hour and 36 minutes.
Well, I've
So
had a fabulous time. I hope
I
people.
have too. Thank you for coming. And don't go anywhere after we say goodbye, and we'll
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
schedule something for next time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So bye, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very much,
coming.
everybody. Thank you for the
Thank you for your
questions. I really
questions.
appreciate it.
And come back tomorrow. Sun Psychic Gene will be on, and we'll have fun with that. So see y'all later. Bye.